Welcome to A Kind Life. Tonight I'm really grateful to have Cara here with us. How are you going, Cara?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So I guess I would just love to share how we know each other. It's pretty cool actually. So I actually wonder now, I don't know the full extent of how we ever first started speaking, but what I personally remember is you touched base with me, I'm pretty sure over the podcast. And you mentioned to me that you'd been listening to the podcast and that, you had some suggestions of guests, which was really awesome because one of them was actually Peanuts Sanctuary or Peanuts Wellbeing Sanctuary, who I've featured on here. And I think that's how our friendship started, didn't it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't remember who the first podcast I listened to. I don't know who it was, but yeah, I was listening for a while and then I was like, oh, Mick and Tracey, like they would be amazing.
Yeah. And so I featured them and then it was pretty cool actually because I decided I wanted to go visit them and somehow that got back to you and you reached out and said, it'd be great if we could hang out when I came up there, and we did, and we've been friends ever since. So I'm very grateful for that. So thank you for reaching out to me in the first place.
Oh, that's okay. Thanks for having me on here tonight.
And for people who have listened as well to Dan's episode, he actually references yourself and your partner, Bowen. That's another little connection that is in there as well, is that, through meeting yourself and Bowen, I also met Taylor and Dan, which is pretty cool. So it's a nice, as everyone knows, it's a great vegan community, and we all sort of, somehow get connected and then stay friends, which is awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Like everyone just ends up knowing each other. Like it's such a small, little, beautiful community.
Yeah. So tell us about yourself, Cara, for people who don't know you.
So I've pretty much been working with kids since I finished high school 9 years ago. So I started off in childcare and now I'm in child protection. My vegan story, I feel like there's probably a few things that sort of like led me to it. But the biggest thing was definitely the 2019 Dominion anniversary, those protests. I was at home that day. I don't know why I was at home. I wasn't at work. I might have been sick, and I remember seeing it on TV and being like, oh, like, why are they, like, what is this about, kind of thing. So, yeah, then I turned it on and watched, I think I only got through like 6 minutes or something, and it was just, yeah, absolutely like horrific. Like I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I only saw the pigs. So yeah, that was like the biggest, how they say like a seed gets planted in your mind. That was probably the biggest seed. And then from there just kept sort of looking into things, and then I went vegan, and it's the best thing I've ever done.
And so you went from seeing the protest, you followed through and looked up dominion.com and started to watch the footage. That's pretty incredible because that's exactly what they wanted people to do.
Yeah, I'm so glad that they did those massive protests. Like it got so much attention, and like the signs saying that you've been lied to, and it's so true. Like it's insane what they're able to hide that people don't know about.
And so before you saw this, I guess how would you describe like your diet and lifestyle?
I was quite sick for a while, like just with a lot of like stomach issues, and I was just like always in pain, like uncomfortable, like always feeling like super bloated. I was seeing like a nutritionist for ages. I was doing low FODMAP diet. I don't know if you've heard of that, but you're so restricted on what you can eat, and they tell you like meat is safe, and like even veggies like broccoli and stuff, like you're only meant to eat like a certain portion. So like you pretty much have to measure everything. So I was like so restricted with what I was eating, and I was a lot heavier than what I am now. Like I was a bit chunky. So when I started like trying to look into how to go vegan, like low FODMAP, they don't really recommend that because like you're so restricted with like eating veggies and like things like lentils. They're all like supposedly high FODMAPs. I couldn't eat onion, garlic, mushrooms. If I ate any of them, like I would be in so much pain. And I know like a lot of people that seem to have this now, like those issues. But when I went vegan, it just disappeared. Like weird. I was paying all this money to a nutritionist and doing everything she said, taking supplements to try and help. Nothing really helped. And then, went vegan, not knowing anything about like if I was going to be healthy, like not knowing where I was going to get my protein from, like, all the usual things that we have no idea about, like when you start off. And then, like I did it 100% for the animals, but it was the best thing I could have done for my health too. So, and I know this might not happen for everyone, but I was really lucky. So.
And I guess, like what was your family's response when you did transition? Was that quite a change for them as well?
Not really for my mum and my sister. They were pretty supportive and everything. My dad still doesn't really understand it. Bowen, I was so lucky, like with my partner, because I know like a lot of people, their partners do not change. But Bowen, so I sort of like talked to him about what I'd seen and everything, and I was only vegan for like a week, maybe a week and a half. And I was telling him about like what I'd sort of found out about the animals and everything, and he's like, yeah, I know, like that sounds like horrific, but we have to eat it. And I was like, yeah, I know, but like I just really want to try it. And then we watched the Game Changers, and he was like, oh, okay, obviously that's a lie. We don't need to eat them. So he's like, oh, I'll do it too. And I was like, oh, okay, like to what extent? Because he was like, I was sort of like gradually cutting down, but he hadn't, and then he just went vegan overnight. It's pretty amazing. Like I didn't know like how serious he was going to be with it, and he just he was like, no, I'm vegan now. And then we had vegan pizzas that night, and he's never gone back.
That's pretty incredible. Would you say that you were both animal lovers before knowing about, what happens to animals?
I was. Bowen, maybe not as much. Like he loved our dogs. But even then, I guess like I'd never really interacted with farmed animals. I probably, like before I was vegan, I probably wouldn't have gone out of my way to say like I loved them. But yeah.
And would you say that your like health issues have kind of like completely gone since going vegan? Like, do you have any of those kind of stomach digestive issues?
No, I can go eat a vegan cheese garlic bread and I'm like so fine, where before I would have been in so much pain. Like, so it's fully healed now. I was very, very lucky.
Yeah. And I'm guessing when you first, when you guys went vegan, it was great that you did have Bowen. But other than that, did you kind of feel a bit isolated?
Yeah, very, because like you find out all of this horrific things that are happening to animals, and like you think that you're going to tell people and they're going to care. You think you're going to try and tell them to watch stuff and they don't. They want to be ignorant. Even like a friend that I had, I remember trying to talk to her about it, and she was like, I know what happens. And I was thinking like, do you really? Like what, you don't care? And she just said, I don't, like, I know what happens. I don't want to like see it with my own eyes and stuff. Now I know that there's like, now that I sort of know a lot more than what I did at the start, there's no way these people that say that they know what happens, they don't. I think until you see it with your own eyes, you really don't, because if you truly understood everything that happens to these animals, you wouldn't be comfortable paying for it. Like, no way. So I'd never even met a vegan like before I went vegan. So it was quite isolating at the start. And I guess it's hard to know how to talk to people about it as well, when you get that initial reaction of people saying like, oh, I don't want to know, or I know what happens but don't tell me, like, so that can be quite hard. So I actually reached out to a vegan psychologist, Claire Mann, and heaps of vegans probably know her. Like, she's the lady who wrote Dystopia. So she was such a massive help for me, because I just didn't even know how to talk to people about it. Like, I would, even if someone asked me like why I was vegan, I would get so anxious, and like, because I guess all these thoughts come rushing to your head, and you're like it's so obvious to us like why you wouldn't want to eat animals, but then trying to, I guess, tell people in the right way, yeah, it can be quite hard. So she definitely helped me a lot. She was the first vegan that I ever spoke to. And then since then, most of our friends are vegan now. Like getting into activism, yeah, you just meet so many incredible people and they become such a support as well, especially the ones that have been doing activism for ages, like seeing, I guess, how they talk to people. Yeah, I think it's so important to have that like network of people who do care.
And what was your activism journey? How did you go from being vegan to speaking for animals?
So the first thing that I started doing when I didn't know how to talk to anyone and I was just like, I started volunteering at Peanuts. So Bowen and I went to, so you've done the overnight stay as well. They had the overnight stay available and I messaged them and then we went and stayed there and we were just like, oh my God, this is the best place ever. Like Mick and Tracey, like hearing about what they've done for the animals, but for children as well. Like I think that's like just incredible what they do with the kids, especially because it's like my job as well, like working with kids who are in need. It's just incredible what they do. Yeah, so that was the first sort of thing that I started doing. So we were just going down there all the time, like trying to help out as much as we can. Yeah, so I felt very, very grateful to meet them and be able to, yeah, like feel like I feel like that was probably the easiest thing for me to start off doing, to start volunteering. And it's kind of like a bit of therapy too, like going there, like you just, it's just, yeah, it's beautiful and seeing animals who are cared for and happy and get to know kindness. Yeah. So then I was doing that we've been doing that for probably a year and a half now. I've been volunteering for like at Peanuts. And then after that, I was wanting to get into cubes, but I was just terrified. So I reached out to Animal Rights Activism Sydney and they had a post about Ayanthi, who you've also had on here. And I messaged her and started talking to her and she was like, yeah, come to a cube with me. So she was like a massive support as well. And she is amazing. Like I'm sure everyone who listened to her podcast knows, like, yeah, she's incredible. So she's definitely taught me a lot as well. She's very smart and yeah. So then sort of just kept meeting people from there and going to cubes. Protests, I've done a few of them now. But yeah, I think the cubes are like just incredible to be able to try and talk to people and get them to see, yeah, especially when it's, I don't know, it's strangers and they will just stop and then you can have a good conversation with them. Like it's really good to get to see people actually care instead of just having conversations with people that you know that are going to say, oh, I don't want to know, I don't want to see it. I don't know, at cubes you get, not all the time, I've had a few crappy conversations, but I've had like quite a few good positive conversations where I feel like people have actually like taken accountability. Like, you know, they say that they're against animal abuse and they're like, I need to look into this. Bowen and I had a lady come up to us, it was only on our second cube and we were standing there holding the TVs and we'd only just like started getting into cubes, but she came up and she said, just so you know, like because of what you guys do, like both my kids are vegan, like thank you so much for like spreading the truth. So I was like, oh, it wouldn't have been because of me because I just started doing this and I tell everyone else. Yeah, so that was really amazing. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing at the moment, trying to get to a lot of cubes. And then, yeah, the protests, I've started doing the drop crop protests. So, yeah, that's been the first one I went to, it was pretty quiet. And then the second one I went to 2 weeks ago, I kind of just stood like at the lights. So I was right there, like where people had to stop. And then, yeah, that was really good. I had a lot of good conversations then. A lot of people didn't know about it. So, yeah.
And I think you were saying that, you know, when you first started Cubes, you never imagined that you would actually want to have conversations, like outreach people, and that's kind of changed, hasn't it?
Mm. Yeah, I did not think I would talk to anyone like at all. And then I don't know, I think because I had to wait for ages too. So the first one I was meant to go to was just before lockdown. And then I don't even remember how long we were in lockdown for, like a good 5-6 months. So then after that, I was like, oh, like get me out there. Like I just want to do something. Yeah. And I still didn't think that I would talk to people, but I ended up just doing it and just asking them questions. I think that has been the best way to talk to people. You don't need to, I mean, if they ask you what's happening, like you can explain it and everything. But I feel like for me, the best way is to just ask them questions like, have you seen this before? Like, what do you think about it? Did you know this happens? Yeah, and then when they say no, like you can explain it a bit, but you're not telling them what to do, I guess. So yeah, I feel like asking questions has been really effective. And then yeah.
And I guess like for people who haven't maybe been to a sanctuary or haven't been able to volunteer, tell us a little bit about, you know, what is involved when you're helping at Peanuts, just to give them an idea.
Sometimes Tracey and I talk way too much. Bowen and Mick will be out there doing the hard work and they'll come in and be like, what are you two doing? And we're just chatting away. But no, it's hard not to be. Like, you've met them, you know how amazing they are. But yeah, like we'll help out with everything, like building new enclosures, fixing up fences, cutting down trees. Mick and Tracey are firefighters as well, so they know exactly how to sort of plan. Yeah, and then just like helping out with the animals, checking everything's okay, cleaning out their enclosures. Yeah, like brushing the ponies. Yeah, it's amazing being there.
So I've experienced the joy of, you know, hanging out with you and the animals there. And it's pretty incredible because obviously you've built a bit of a bond with them, being there a number of times. And so, you know, they know you when they see you coming, they're coming over for pats and cuddles.
I don't know, like it's just such a good thing to do. Like once you know what happens to them, like, I don't know, for me, I just like felt like I had to do everything to, like, I don't know, I guess show them that I'm so sorry. Like I didn't know for so long what was happening. So I feel like going there is just, yeah, to get to see animals, be free, and like it's hard because, you know, you drive out of there and you're in farmland and you see hundreds and hundreds of sheep and yeah. But to get to be with these ones who, you know, are safe now and be able to help the people who are rescuing them, like, yeah, it's really rewarding.
And I do know as well that, you know, it's not only Peanuts, you have been to a number of sanctuaries like to visit. And also, you know, I know when I was there, you were selling like some calendars and things for Owl and Pussycat. So tell us about a few of the other sanctuaries you visited.
Yes, I love Owl and Pussycat too. So we started going up to Bowen. One of my friends got married there, and then since then we were just like, this was before we were vegan. Since then we were just like, oh, this is like the nicest place ever, like Byron Bay. It's just, so that sort of became our little holiday destination. And then I was following Alan Pussycat on Instagram for ages, and then I booked a day to go there. And yeah, since then we're just like, every time we go up there, we'll just stay there. Like, why pay to stay in a hotel when we can support them? Yeah, and we've become like really good friends with them too. So there's B and Finn, they're the owners, and then Pixie and Benji, they're so beautiful as well. Like, yeah, so it's amazing going up there. Yeah, we love it there.
And I think, have you been to a couple of other sanctuaries as well?
I went to Where Pigs Fly. That was the first one we went to. We did like a big group tour. But yeah, so they're the three I've been to. Yeah,
cool.
I've been to any other ones.
Yeah. And now tell us a little bit about, I know that Owl and Pussycat holds such a special place in your heart that you're planning something there. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we're getting married there. We're having like the most vegan wedding ever. So we were set on Byron Bay, and we were just like looking around locations, and so we went up there for 3 weeks. We did a big like up the North Coast trip. So we stayed in Bowen for maybe a week and a half, and we stayed there for a few days, and we were like looking at places to have the wedding and everything, and I was like, why don't we just have it here? Like, what a good, like, it's beautiful. Like, everyone was like, yeah, let's do it. So I was like, it's such a good opportunity to get like our family and friends there, to see how amazing it is here, like be with rescued animals. So we're trying to plan everything to be as sort of, I guess, as sustainable, and like, I've been really lucky with like a lot of our vendors. My photographer's vegan as well as my celebrant and my makeup artist. I know, it's amazing. My photographer actually sent me like this whole list about like planning sustainable weddings, a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have even thought of. And then B, who owns a sanctuary, she used to do event planning too, so she's helped me a bit. She's like, oh, create a mood board, and I was like, what's that? I don't know how to do it. And then she sort of like explained it to me, so I was like, all right, I'll get on Pinterest, and like we sort of did the whole, like figured out the whole theme to try and make it like very boho kind of thing. So very exciting. So we're having like the ceremony there, and then just having like, it's not like, definitely not a traditional wedding. So we're just having like the ceremony and then some music. We've got a singer, and then just have food platters, and then after that we're going to go into Byron Bay and go to the restaurant No Bones, which if anyone's been there is like the best restaurant ever. It's so good, it's amazing. Like the food is just next level, and you see all the time, like they'll have on Instagram, like people will tag them and be like, this place makes me want to go vegan. The food's amazing, so very excited for that too.
It sounds like you're in great hands between B and your photographer, but also I know you're someone that does extremely like good research. So I feel like you're well prepared, Cara.
I'm trying. I feel like I didn't until this. Like, when we started looking into it, I was so lost. And then Bowen's older sister said, just like pick your location first, try and do that first. So I was like, oh, okay. So once I did that, and then spoke to B about it, it's coming together a bit more.
And what do you think, I guess, what do you think the reactions will be to guests at your wedding that aren't vegan, I guess, in terms of especially like going to an all vegan restaurant?
Honestly, the food, like they probably won't even know. Like they will know because I'm going to make it, they know how passionate we both are. Like they know that there's no way we were going to be serving animals at our wedding, but honestly, like the food, like the calamari and stuff, like you would not even know that it's vegan. I think they're going to be super impressed, and I just hope that they, I guess, make the effort to sort of, I don't know, maybe like connect a bit with the animals, hear their stories a little bit. I think it's so important. So we're using this as a big opportunity to try and show the people who are close to us like how important it is to us and why it's so important. Most of our friends that are coming are vegan anyway, but it's mainly just family and like a couple of friends who aren't, but it's such a special place to us. So as well as Peanuts, like we love it there, but we were like set on going to Byron, so we're going to go get photos on the beach after, and hopefully it'll be perfect.
Absolutely. You put a lot of work into it, so I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. And something else, that really interests me when I stayed at your house was that, you had done quite a lot of work around feeding your dogs like a vegan diet. So tell us about that, because you've not just kind of bought something off the shelf, you've gone to all out. So tell us.
Oh yeah, they're honestly like, they eat so much better than us. Like so much planning goes into their food. So Summer, our German Shepherd, she's like not so much anymore. Like it seems like she's fine now, but before she used to have like a really sensitive stomach, so we had to be careful like with what she was eating. Like kibble always upset her stomach. It's so like horrible to think about, but we used to feed them raw meat. They used to be raw fed dogs. So at the time, like we were so ignorant to what was happening to other animals. And I thought I was doing, like, it's such a big thing now. People think it's like the best thing for them to feed them raw. So we were doing that. And then when we went vegan, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like we don't let, like, yeah, I was like, there has to be another way. So I did a lot of research into it. I knew that there was vegan kibble, but Summer's, she's just like hadn't been real good with kibble. So I found a nutritionist through Veggie Paws, which is an Australian company, and they make a supplement. So she pretty much like wrote up a whole meal plan for me, and yeah, we follow that. So meal prep for them every weekend. It's probably like way over the top, to be honest. Like they probably don't need it to be like as exact, like the measurements of what they have. So like they'll have a protein, and then they'll have like a vegetable like pumpkin or sweet potato, and then a greens, so they can have like broccoli or kale, and then they'll get a carb, so quinoa or rice. Like it's it's full on. But yeah, we just wanted to try and look into it to make sure we're doing it 100% properly, so that they're getting everything. So yeah, they are probably healthier than us, to be honest. And there's still like a lot of people who think that dogs can't be vegan, which I understand, because I thought that for a while, but they definitely can. Like there's so much evidence to show that. Like there's that dog, you can, I forget what her name is, and she lived to like 25. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
No, I didn't know that.
No, border collie, and she's vegan. Yeah. But yeah, they're honestly like so much healthier since they've been vegan too. Like their energy is just like Benji's 5, so he's the older one. And he like went back like 2 years when he went vegan. Like his energy's like through the roof. But yeah, they love it. So yeah.
Yeah, I do find it's a somewhat like almost you could say controversial topic amongst vegans. It's really interesting. It still kind of divides us, I think. My dog Barney is vegan. I will admit, I go the easier option. I did a lot of research on vegan kibble. He's only ever been a dog that's eaten dry food. Like he gets other bits of scraps and things, like when I cut up veggies and that sort of stuff, he always eats that too, and rice. But I don't specifically cook for him. And I did the same as you. I did quite a bit of research, but it is interesting because you do, I guess you want to do the best thing for your animals. And sometimes you could be, I guess, turned off by doing what or reading what other people say. But like yourself, I found there's so much good positive like evidence about it. And then just even trying him on it, and he had such a great response to it. And he's been so good. Like he's just similar, he's 10 and people wouldn't think he's 10.
Yeah, that's right. And like when you have that like glimmer of hope that like, oh, like it sounds like they can be vegan, like you obviously, like that's what I said to Bowen, like we have to try it. Like I can't keep feeding them other animals if they don't have to. Like it's so unethical, and there's nothing, like people think them eating meat is natural and everything. There is nothing natural about the animals that they're eating. Like what happens to them on factory farms, and like they're being artificially bred into this world. Like it's horrific, and there's nothing natural about it at all. So yeah, if they can be, why not? Like
and did you find that there was things over time that at the start, like that, for example, with me, I didn't think about dog food at the start, like it was something that over time I progressed. I was personally vegan myself, and then I looked at other things like certain products or things I was wearing or dog food. Did you find that as well, that you sort of slowly looked at other things that you might not have initially sort of thought about, or was it pretty much overnight?
Yeah, no, other things, like I think we used to have a like a woolen doona and stuff, and I didn't really think about that at the start. At one point we had a leather lounge, which like is horrible. But yeah, at the time, like when we bought it like years ago when we first moved out, you just don't even think about it. Like, and it's so, now it's like all we see. Like you can't not see that as anything except for someone's skin. But yeah, at the time, like you don't think anything of it, and then you find out about everything. And makeup, pretty much everything, like skincare, makeup, And like at first, I guess it probably would seem a bit overwhelming but it's really just learning a new habit. Like you just learn what's vegan, what's cruelty free, what's not, and you just change. Like, yeah, it's not hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess, would you have like advice for anyone, like whether it be for people that are looking to get active for animals, or if you're looking at going vegan, is there anything that any words of wisdom you'd like to share?
I think absolutely everyone should have to at least try to watch Dominion, especially if you're living in Australia, because pretty much all that footage is legal standard practice. I think everyone should have to see it if they're paying for it. Like it's the absolute least we can do for these animals. And yeah, to realize that you don't need to, I don't know, like after that, look into the health part, watch the game changes. You can look like Instagram, you can look up vegan athletes. Like there's so many healthy people. There's no reason why we need to keep doing this. And I think the easiest way to start off is just like eat the food that you're already eating. You can just change it. Like it's honest. You can veganize like anything. It's so easy. It's honestly so easy. And then get active. Meet other vegans. Start going to protests. Protests are probably like the least confronting, I feel like, anyway, because you're usually in like a massive group and you don't really have to say anything. Like you can just sort of stand there and hold a sign. But yeah, I think once you know that you want to help them, it becomes really easy, and you just meet other people, learn what they're doing, and just speak up for them, I guess, the way that you would want someone to speak up for you, because it is such a massive issue what's happening, and we need to keep fighting for them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And something too that I probably should have mentioned earlier that I think you do, which is pretty awesome, is, not only do you comment on things, today, for example, you reached out to me and spoke to me about a brand that, you thought was mostly vegan, and they've started talking about things about like responsible and inverted commas wool, and, other things, other posts and things you see online. You're very quick to, I guess, hold people accountable or make people aware, so that if consumers are looking at these products, they understand a little bit better about what's involved, which is pretty cool, because a lot of people steer away from that kind of, I suppose, drama, in the sense of, then people start to gang up on you. So you're pretty brave.
I don't know, like if you like, it's usually just the same sort of people who will target you, and they're like farmers, and they're not really making sense with what they're saying, and they'll just be like, oh, you don't know what's happened, and then you'll say what's happened, and they're just like, oh no, that's not true. And then but you can just very, very easily link some footage or state some facts. It's not hard to find it. I mean, the industry is very secretive, but we're lucky that a lot of brave people have gone into these places. Like we know what's happening now. They can't deny it. So I troll the dairy farmers every now and then.
The other thing too, though, which is pretty awesome, is, you monitor, like, for example, in your local area, you monitor like lost and found animal pages and stuff. And, you're always willing to go out and help and look for an animal if there's been one that's lost, or even at the moment, you guys are suffering again from floods in Sydney, and near yourself, there's like quite an area that has had increased flooding, and, you've gone out to check for wildlife. So they're all things that people can easily do, like from home or near their house. So it's pretty cool that you've, used your initiative to go and do that yourself.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it's so important. Like these animals, like they're always the ones that suffer. Like, yes, people lose businesses, and it's sad and everything, but no one really, I mean, everyone gets upset when they see, like there was one calf who got stuck in water in the last flood, and then someone rescued it. Like people do care about these animals, but I think they're just so disconnected to what happened. So this guy went and got this calf, and then this little baby calf ended up in the car with a man who worked at the stockyards where they sell animals to slaughterhouses, and everyone was praising him. And I was just, it's beyond frustrating because we know what's going to happen to those animals. Like, you can go on their Facebook page, they have the prices. You can buy a 5-day-old dairy calf for like $50, and people are praising this guy as a hero, but then, you know, we're the crazy ones for saying that they shouldn't be stabbed in the throat. Yeah, it's beyond frustrating, but I feel like everyone can go out there and help. If they see wildlife that are struggling, you can call wires. We're about to do a wires course with our animal justice party group. So yeah, that'll be good, because it just seems like the wildlife can't get a break. Like, if they're not being, you know, if they're not being shot for soccer boots, then they're drowning in natural disasters, and we're not waking up. Like, the climate's just getting worse and worse. So yeah, it's really frustrating. But yeah, we just got to do everything we can to help, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed, Tara, as well, because, you know, I can see you're quite a young person. I'm just going to put that in inverted commas. But, you know, you're very aware, and someone that is, you know, trying to make an impact and help the animals. So I think, you know, we're very lucky, and I'm personally grateful that we've crossed paths. So I definitely have learned a lot from you in the time that we've started, you know, chatting and hanging out. So I'm very grateful.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
And
that's so nice.
before we finish up, is there anything we might have missed that you wanted to mention, or do you have a favourite quote to share?
I think my favourite quote is definitely the Edgar's Mission one. If we could live happy and healthy lives without harming others, why wouldn't we? Because, yeah, it just makes sense. Why would you harm someone if you realise that you didn't have to? Yeah, that's definitely my favourite, I think.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Cara. If there's nothing else, we'll wrap this one up. But I definitely look forward to seeing all the, and that's probably something I should mention, is if anyone wants to, you know, follow you, see how your, you know, wedding goes or what you get up to for the animals, are you happy for them to jump across onto your Instagram page?
Yeah, definitely. It's on private just because of my job, but yeah, I'll accept vegans. No, I'll accept people. It's just because of work that it's on private. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'll share that in the show notes. And yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing your wedding in October, not long now. So looking forward to a full vegan wedding.
Thank you.
Thanks, love. Take care.
Okay, you too.